Hello strangers and strangelings, welcome back to the Strange Bar and Grill. We reached 10,000 subscribers and right now we're actually closer to 11,000 subscribers. I know that's not a huge milestone, but I'll celebrate because it's been just a tough grind so far dealing with YouTube and whatnot. But as promised, I'm doing my Q&A and you guys all left me some good questions. So let's just jump right into it. And if you guys want some more clarification to any of my answers, then just drop it in the comment section. But we'll start with the first question here. Do you write your own scripts? Yes, I do. Now, I don't think I'm very good at it, but I do write my own scripts. Funny thing is, every time I write a script, I think about like high school and how much I used to hate writing essays. And for some reason, doing this every week, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me while I force myself to do this. But second question, have you come across a case that you can't quite face covering because it gets to you too much? Now, I don't have a particular case that gets to me, but pretty much anything that involves kids, I think that's definitely hard to cover. And I don't think I have many stories involving children. But as a parent, I think that those cases just kind of hit too close to home. And I'm not a huge fan of watching those stories as well. There was that one Netflix documentary, and I can't remember the name, but the little boy, I think it's like his parents end up killing him. And the social workers, didn't really do a lot for him. But I know social workers are, super busy and they get overloaded with cases and whatnot. But that story, those stories like that just make me angry. It makes me want to get up and go out and find those people and go fight them or something, And I'm sure most of you guys feel the same way when you guys hear those types of stories. You just get outraged and angry. But those stories hit the hardest, I think, especially when you're a parent, you're a father or mother. Those stories hit real close to home. All right, the next question says, I watch a lot of true crime, but every now and then there's a case I have to switch off because it's so heartbreaking. So I just wondered if the same goes for you when you're researching. Now, this question is kind of similar to the last one, but I will add there's a story on my channel called The Real Life Monsters in Francoise's Bed. And that story was just so messed up. It just had me like, what the F? And there's also that story of the doctor who decapitated a baby during childbirth. And that was just wild as hell too. And I won't go into a lot of details of those stories, but I will leave some links to those stories in the description, or maybe I can make them pop up or something. I don't know. I don't know how to use YouTube that well, so maybe they'll just be in the description. No one has time to be a damn YouTube guru, but we'll try. See, the next question is, what's your favorite type of case? So for me, my favorite type of case is, I like those cases that you don't kind of see the ending coming, like those stranger than fiction types of stories. There's like that documentary on Netflix, I think it's like Love, Stalker, Killer. That was a wild one. I won't go into details on that. You guys can go watch it because that's a crazy twist and I don't want to give anything away. And then also when I first saw Catfish, that was one of those stories that just blew my mind. I just didn't see it coming. I saw it coming, but not to that extent, I guess. The next question is there a specific case that got me interested in true crime? Or no, let me reread that. Is there a specific case that got me interested in the first place? As far as like documentaries go, I guess there was this documentary that came out in 2012, and I think it was called The Imposter. It was like of this con man. I can't remember if where he was from somewhere in Europe, I guess. And he was a con man who pretended to be this relative of a Texas family who had a family member that disappeared many years ago. And the whole story is just crazy from beginning to end. And that's all I'm going to say because it's wild and I don't want to give up the twist in that one. But that was probably the first case that I've heard that had me telling anyone around me that would listen. But the first case that I covered that I heard that I was like, ooh, I want to, tell this story because it just blew my mind. It was so bizarre. It didn't have a twist ending or anything, but it was of Jalissa Valor. This is the mother who repeatedly shot her young son with a shotgun. And again, I'm also actually not really a fan of that story because it involves kids, but I heard about that story and I can't remember where I heard it. But then when I went and tried to search for it on YouTube to see if anybody covered it and had the details of that case, I couldn't find anything. So, and I wanted to learn more about the case. So I actually just researched it myself and then just made it into a video. That's actually my first story on my channel. So it's still up, I believe, and you can go check it out. And that's the basis for my channel actually, is covering those stories that don't get told. Although I do have some more mainstream stories on my channel, but I typically stick to more obscure stories that don't get told, stories that don't get the light of day that you would normally get for these high profile cases. All right, the next question is, So far, it's all true crime. What else interests you? Well, I've always liked art, music, cooking, which I'll kind of dig into this a little further in another answer to a question. So we'll get to that here soon. The next question is, how did you choose crime as your topic when you started? So this kind of piggybacks off of the other question I just read. I initially had a cooking channel called Dad, What's for Dinner? And the story behind that was just doing something during COVID and foods and cooking. The title comes from my daughter's always asking me every day, Dad, what's for dinner? Text it to me, she'll tell me like what's for dinner. She always asks me that. So I kind of came up with that channel idea, and I like to cook, and just one of those things I just find relaxing. And I've always liked to draw and paint. So cooking kind of just seemed like another art form to me, I guess. But I was pretty terrible at editing, especially when I started then. And my videos flopped and no one's watching them. So I started doing like reactions on that same channel because I really love music as well, and discovering different genres of music. So I just did that, but I kind of find reaction videos to be kind of weird, just watching somebody watch a video and listening to them react, I guess. Even though I watch reaction videos, sometimes I like to hear people's opinions and whatnot, but I don't think I was good at that either. But I would always get comments saying, your voice is interesting, you should just like read the news and things of that nature, etc. But my wife, she watches a lot of true crime documentaries. She studied psychology and sociology when we were in college. So she would always tell me these stories about these serial killers and all this crazy stuff. So I thought of, instead of reading the news and I want to move away from reaction videos, I would try my hand at true crime. At the time I was watching like Lazy Masquerade, Mr. Ballin, and just a bunch of true crime in between, and said, hey, I think I could do that. And it also gives me that outlet, that need I have to do something creative, because I'm actually into IT by trade. But I've always liked art, like creating. I've always liked, all these different things. So this kind of helps me bring that all together. But that's how I kind of fell into the space. So the next question, what got you interested in the strange and unusual? And what was it that made you aware that you liked strange and unusual things? Well, when I was a kid, me and my brother, we would watch this show. I think it was like Sightings, I think that's what it's called. And it would scare the crap out of us. But it was that show about like aliens and like Bigfoot sightings, UFOs and all that stuff. It was just weird. My mom would also watch like Unsolved Mysteries, and I used to love like the music, but it scared the crap out of me as well. And the host's voice is like iconic. I don't remember his name, but if you heard his voice, that's the dude from Unsolved Mysteries. But I think people in general are just drawn to mysterious and strange stuff. We just have a natural curiosity for that type of stuff, right? The unknown, the unexplained, and everyone's looking for answers, that type of thing. The next question, what inspired you to launch a virtual bar and grill true crime channel? Well, I went through several versions of this channel. So if you start looking at my oldest videos and work your way up until now, my channel is vastly different, I think. I wanted to make it feel like you're just kind of hanging out at a bar and telling stories with your friends. I mean, I was never really into going to clubs and that whole thing, but I always preferred just to kind of chill and just have some drinks at a bar, of course, eat something because I like to eat. So the whole premise, I guess, is me kind of being this bartender and just serving up stories of all kinds and varieties to my customers. And I don't know if it actually comes off that way or not, but that's why I try like different intros and different setups. And ultimately, I think YouTube doesn't really like the drinking on camera, so I kind of stopped that. And I just don't want to promote drinking and all that stuff either. But I also think like Strange Bar and Grill had a nice ring to it, so I kind of went with that. I also think SBG does too. I think it just has like a nice cool ring to it. But yeah, I was just trying to come up with something different and brainstorming. Like I said, I went through several iterations on my channel. I believe at one point it was called like The Narrator Watches. I can't remember some of the other names I had, but I changed my channel name several times. Some people have been here since the beginning, so that's kind of cool. They held on this long with me just experimenting and trying all these different things, so that's kind of cool. But that was the last question, so if you guys have any more questions, leave it in the comment section and I'll answer in the comment section. But yeah, be safe, be good. And for the people that like this catchphrase I used to use, I've been drinking, but ain't been driving. All right, guys, be good.